Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is 5:12. Up before the sunrise. Got a fire going. This feels incredible. Inside of that tent, it's something else. It's almost like 90% humidity in there. It's so wet. I'm soaked. My clothes are soaked. The humidity's so high. More than anything, I just wanted out of that tent. Hey there folks, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. Today we are out for a camping adventure, but first a little bit of hiking. I've been on this old logging road for quite a while now, and I'm making my way up this mountain to a secret campsite. I've stayed there once or twice in the past. It is definitely cool. Speaking of cool, the temperatures today are amazing. Check this out, 68 degrees. That's pretty hard to beat for the beginning of July. For this adventure, there is a chance of rain. Will it rain? I'm going to say more no than yes, but anything is possible. There is a cold front coming through, so there is a possibility of rain. Recently, I put up a video in regards to the Alps Mountaineering Tipi 2 tent. The comment section was full of people stating that that tent is going to perform so badly because it's a single wall tent. There's no place for the moisture to go except for the inside of the tent. Your comments matched my thoughts, basically what I said verbatim in the video itself. I figured we would take out that tent, and in this episode, we'll test it together. Let's see just how bad the condensation is going to be with it. That is one of the main focuses for this video. We're gear testing the Alps Mountaineering Tipi 2. Also, I'm testing out this Savata pack. This is pretty sweet. Also, it's very similar to the RP80, which I reviewed a long time ago. I'll talk more about that later on though. But for now, I need to focus. I need to find the trail that I'm looking for. Now check this out, everyone. I just came across this here in the forest, and this is interesting. This tree has been cut down with a hatchet. You can also see that the individual with the hatchet or the axe, their swing was all over the place. You have lower levels, higher, and then higher up. That's interesting. What I find interesting about that is that there's no campsites around here. This is just a connector trail. So there's really no reason to cut anything down, plus the forest is just full of dry, dead wood. So, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I point that out more than anything just to show you all how you need to be observant. In that case, it was nothing more than a tree that was cut down. But when you're out in the forest, when you're out in the wilderness, you need to be paying attention. Pay attention to every single sign. It might be animal poop. It might be animal tracks, bear tracks, mountain lion tracks. It might be as simple as a shoe print in the mud. Think of it as nothing more than gathering information, gathering insight. you have an idea of who may be ahead of you or what may be out in the forest. It's all about being observant when you're in the outdoors, paying attention to the small details. That is what's going to keep you safe. That's going to keep you out of trouble. Not only that, but let's say that you're interested with helping with search and rescue. It's all about paying attention to the small details. The small details can make a world of difference. With this trail, it is not very popular, and because of that, the trail itself is rather faint. And because of that, I think I'm going to shut off the camera here, and I'm going to focus on pathfinding. I will see you all when I get to the campsite. As an update, it's been about 20 minutes since I filmed last, and I think I am getting close to the campsite. It should be right down here. As I've been hiking along, I've been making sure to pay attention to the trail, or what's left of it. But also, I've been looking for man-made signs. Anytime that you're on a trail, an established trail, even if it's not used all that often, there's going to be signs of man. With saying that, folks, as I've been going through the forest, I've been coming across those signs. It started with that tree that was chopped down. Check this out. That was done with a handsaw. You can see by how worn and rounded it is, that's rather old. Maybe 2 years ago, something like that. You can see in this area, there's quite a few of those. So this one here, 2 years ago maybe. This one here, about 5 or 6 years ago. That tells me I'm on track. There are no other trails in this area to get confused with, so it's this one and nothing else. Okay, here we go. Found it. Yeah, this looks good, folks. This looks good. Woo. Even though it's not really that hot, it's enough to make you sweat, that's for sure. I'm going to take a second here and just dry off. You wouldn't think it's possible, but with temperatures in the 60s, with a nice breeze and being wet, hypothermia is possible. I mean, because like right now, upper 60s, there's a breeze coming through the forest, my shirt's wet, and I have chills. I don't know if you can see that or not, but my hair is standing up. Chilly. That's one reason why drying off is so important. Just be aware, be aware. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is set up my tent. That is something that I do every single time when I get to camp. I don't waste any time. I set up my tent, I get everything ready. That's because you can't predict the weather. You have no idea what's going to happen. I may set up a tarp as well. It's one of those things like, why not? Just in case. The chance of rain today is small, but it is a chance. If nothing else, I can use it as a wind block if I need to. As far as a sunblock goes, I don't have to worry about that much. I hear you. This is the Alps Mountaineering 2-person teepee tent. The company says 2-person, it's not really. It's rather small for 2 people. This tent is without a doubt interesting. After getting the tent out and laying it on the ground, I could see that this spot is not going to work. I need something bigger. So I think this area here looks a little bit more promising. Now it's time to move on to the tarp setup. This is the Helicon Tech Super Tarp. Check out that form factor in the storage bag. I like the storage bag quite a bit. Check that out. The backside, pure mesh. That way, water will drain out of it. It's pretty smart. There to there. This way. Okay. I get asked all the time, why don't I set my tarp up over my tent? Most of the time, I can't do that, and that's because of the terrain. I'm not sure how it looks on camera, but nothing here in the mountains is flat. That's not flat where I put my tent, and neither is this. It's sloped. Everything is sloped. There's trees, there's rocks, there's roots. So very rarely can I put a tarp over my shelter. It just simply doesn't work. The layouts aren't right. That's why oftentimes my tarp setup is away from my tent. Fighter jets. That makes me think of the Top Gun movie. Have you guys seen that? The new one? It's not bad. Susie and I, we went and saw it a few weeks ago. Pretty good. What was not good? Jurassic Park. Ugh, holy crap. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Fudge, that was stupid. For the most part, I have camp set up here. The tent's ready, my bedding's ready. I have the tarp set up just in case. Right now, I have it set up for open air mode. I can chill underneath it, block out some sun, that's good. But it's all about airflow and less about protection. So the tent is the Alps Mountaineering Tipi 2. The more I set this up, the more I use it, the more I hate this tent. The pole placement is terrible. It's just hot as hell because there's no airflow in it. Yeah, I don't know. Tonight might just be awful. It might be awful. It's a single wall tent. Condensation's going to be bad. There's just no way around it. But anyways, the sleeping pad is the Teton Sports Altos. I hate the color, but it is comfortable. The sleeping bag, that is from One Tigress. That is their quilt. And folks, that's actually pretty good, especially for the money. It's lightweight, it's warm. For summertime use, that's hard to beat. Then we have the backpack. That is from Savata. Check that thing out. Tons of webbing. Lots of space. It features an external frame. This pack was made for hauling. Hauling a little bit of weight or a lot. It's up to you. Looking at my notes here on my phone, it looks like back in 2017, I reviewed the Samara TST RP80 Recon backpack. I love that backpack. It is incredible. Basically, it's the same as this. There are some minor differences. In the future, I'll talk about those. Back when I reviewed the Recon pack, it was $450. Today, it's over $200 more expensive. That's right, it's like $650, something like that, which is crazy high. The Savata version is pricey, but it's not that expensive. And yet this one has some additional features that the other doesn't. Again, I'll talk about those in a future episode, but let me tell you this pack rocks. If you are into tactical backpacks, if you are going to carry a ton of weight, if you need an external frame, carefully consider this pack because it is excellent. The tarp that I'm using is from Helicon Tex. This is the Super Tarp. Overall, I like this for the retail price, $65. I do not think this tarp is worth more than that. So if you plan to purchase this, make sure to pay attention to the pricing. On Amazon, these can go for like $100. $65, yeah. $100, no. This is a polyester tent. Take a look at these tie-off points, man. Look at how small they are. That's crazy. For now, everyone, that's all the gear talk. Now I need to find a place to sit, and I think I've found it. Let's give this a shot. That is perfect, my friends. Perfectly flat on top rock. How rare is that? You saw me struggling to get that rock to this point, and that's because this thing is heavy. For its small size, it weighs a ton. It has an extremely high iron content. It's like moving an anvil. Here's a tip for you all. Inside of your backpack, keep with you some bubble wrap, a mailer, whatever you want. This makes excellent cushion. You can use this for multiple purposes. For an example, you can sit on a rock. It makes it more comfortable. But let's say this is a wet stump. You can sit on that, your butt stays dry, and you're good to go. This is extremely lightweight. You're not going to notice it, but yet it's very versatile. I'm going to say this, and I know how ridiculous this sounds, but I'm getting chilly. I've completely dried off, but yet it's almost cold up here. I love it. I love the mountains, folks. You can drop down in elevation right now, about 2,000 feet. The temps are over 80 degrees. That's how big of a difference there is. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. It's coffee time for me. Just a little bit of fuel before I go collect some firewood. As of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to rain. Blue sky everywhere. There are some darker clouds, but nothing threatening. Not at least at the time being. Cheers. That is nasty, let me tell you. 2 packages of Taster's Nasty and a package of like Nestle Korean coffee. And that'll get you going, man. That'll get you going. I've mentioned that I've seen some newer movies. With our kids being out of the house, they're gone. Susie and I, we have a lot of time to do basically anything we want to. So one thing that we've been doing is like every week we go see a cheap movie. At the theater in town, it's like a $5 movie. It doesn't matter which movie, if it's brand new, it's an older one, it doesn't matter, $5. So we went and saw Top Gun, which I liked quite a bit. The ending was a little far-fetched, but overall I enjoyed it. The fact that they use practical effects. That's so big to me. I really hate CGI. 99% of the time, it looks like shit, it holds up like shit, it looks terrible. For the most part, that movie was good. We went and saw Jurassic Park Dominion or something. I don't know. Whatever. That was, without a doubt, the worst movie I've ever seen, ever. Ever. You all know that I've watched some garbage in my time. This beats it. It's just the worst movie ever. It is like everyone in it said like, hey, I don't give an F about anything. The story was awful. There were so many holes in it. For an example, there's one scene, they were out in the forest, went into an elevator, were out in the forest. It was literally that bad. In the end, the movie was terrible. It was offensive to anyone with a brain. It's not even one of those movies where you can turn your brain off. It's that dumb. We went to the theater and there was only 2 people in there. It was a guy and a girl. And at one point in time, I heard that guy say like, what the blank? The movie is that bad. It's amazing. Anyways, everyone, shifting gears, I am so glad that I was able to come out for this trip. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do a trip this week or not. I've had a ton of work to do. I've been testing out gear. And also, I'm about to go out of town. I'm about to go out of town to see my son. It's been over a month since we've seen him, so it's time to go check on him, see how he's doing, hang out for a little bit. Oh man, I cannot wait to go see Lucas. He's been off to college for over a month, and he's doing exceptionally well. He already got a very hard English class out of the way. And apparently, like his final paper that he had to do was like the example of the class. I love it. Go, Lukey. This cheers for you, my friend. Cheers. Because I'm about to go out of town, I don't know if there will be an adventure next week. There will be a video, but it may not be an adventure. If I can get back in time and do it, there will be, but we'll see. What I have here, everyone, is a thermometer that shows not only temperature, but also humidity. Now, since I've been holding it, it's actually going up, as you can see, so I need to get this out of my hand. I figured since we're using a tent where condensation is going to be a big problem, this would be a good product to have with us. This way we can keep track of the humidity inside of this tent. I noticed when I was setting up my tarp that there are 2 trees growing out of one stump here. Basically, we have this sort of situation. I can use this to my advantage when it comes to processing firewood. Looking at the thermometer now, it's been outside of the backpack for about 10 minutes. 49% humidity, 66.4 degrees. When it comes to these trees here, this one's good, this one's dead, this one's also rotten. I could tell that this diameter of wood is too much to try to break between these two trees. More than likely, I'll just knock this down. So with this here, I will have to saw it. Because this is so rotten and also protected by the lean of the tree, everything in here is super dry. So if I needed to, I could use this for fire starter. There's 2 points that I should mention. First off, the merch store has been set up. Thank you all so much for the support. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, you can. You can get yourself a hoodie, coffee cup, whatever you want. Most outdoor channels are not like this one. This one is agenda free. I'm not here to sell products. I don't care if you buy anything that I use in these videos. I purchased every single one of these products. That way I can give you the information straight. Most channels can't do this because they're in bed with those other companies. They're selling products. They can't say anything bad about those products. They're getting commission. That's not what I do here with the Outdoor Gear Review. Next, everyone, I have some shout outs to give. First off, Dimitri, thank you so much for the coffee. You are amazing, and that coffee is too. It is really good. Sven, my friend, I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of your mom. Be well, strength and honor. Bear Dog, thank you so much for the water filter. I can't wait to use it. You're the man. Jack, brother, thank you so much for helping me with the handgun purchase. I really appreciate that. Mike, thank you so much, buddy, for everything. You are the man, and also you're a good friend, and I really do appreciate you. Welcome back to the States, at least for now. Enjoy. I've been watching and listening to these red squirrels. They are crazy. There's tons of them. They just run around chasing each other, and they'll stop in these trees close by and just make weird noises at me and then take off. That's so funny. For dinner, peak refuel meal, chicken coconut curry. We'll see if this is any good. I mentioned before in previous episodes that one of my passions is photography. And I'd say for roughly 10 years or so, I've been making supplemental income through it, like selling photos and whatnot. I love hearing from you all who are interested in photography as well. I love seeing your work. I find it interesting to see the different styles because everybody has a different style. For myself, I'm a fan of surrealism. I like photos and art that are different than what you can see with the naked eye. I like seeing basically the world turned upside down or inside out. I want to see it differently. I have viewers that write in asking about camera equipment. What camera should I get? What should I look at for this budget and so on? The truth is, any camera made since like, I don't know, 2008 is more capable than most photographers. You can go out and buy a Canon 5D Mark II and take amazing pictures. And those cameras are super old, inexpensive. You can get some good glass. The glass will probably cost you more than the camera, but you can have a nice setup and take just incredible photos for very little money, relatively speaking. Talking about my style of photography, I will share with you all some recent pictures that I've taken. Let me know what you think. As you can see there, my primary focus is surrealism, but ever so often I do take photos that are more realistic. Just depends on the scene. Now, of course, this may not be your style at all, and that's okay. Without a doubt, art is in the eye of the beholder, so you're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like it. That is fine. It's been long enough, I think. Smells good. Looks really, really good. Lots of chicken, carrots, tons of rice. Let's give it a shot. Here we go. It's good, but I'm not going to say it's my favorite meal ever. For like a hearty curry, it's pretty good. I'll tell you what, the more I eat of this, the more I like it. I'm bumping up my review from like very good to great. This is awesome, actually. Peak refuel meals, they are top notch. I've yet to have one that I didn't like. Talking about photography, I think having a photography-based YouTube channel, I think that would be difficult. I think there would be a lot of pressure to like take photos and to present them. There's a few channels that I've checked out over the last couple of years as far as photography goes. And I see that more and more and more. And I think oftentimes these individuals with these channels, they seem like they're getting burned out. And I think it's because they're having to present these photos when they're not very good. It's one of those things when you head out to take photos, oftentimes you have very few keepers. I can walk around all day long taking photos and only like 2, or maybe even 1 or none. So to have a channel where you're hiking around taking photos of this and that, the photos aren't that great, that's got to be difficult. What you will do for a dry place to sit down. You can see here, everyone, that red discoloration. That's from the iron. It's funny, most of these have a very high iron content as well. So like that one right there, for an example, it weighs about 30 pounds. I'm sure you noticed that I set up this fire pit pretty good distance away from the tarp and also from the tent, and I'm sure you're wondering why that is. Where I had the tarp set up, it's very enclosed, right? There's a lot of locations over there where like if an ember popped out of the fire, there's a possibility that I couldn't get to it to put it out. I'd rather have my fire out in an open where I can really take care of it, where I can control it. Now that is a nice fire. The sun is going down, it's nice and quiet. No one's out here, just me and you. That's exactly the way I like it. One of the scariest things that I've ever seen in my life was a house fire. It was about, 15 years ago or so. My wife and I, we were living in this like 110-year-old house. We were lucky to have the place, but man, was that place cold. In the wintertime, the wind would just come down the mountains through the valley and just hit that house. The curtains, they would just sway in the breeze. Like, the house was so cold, we would have to isolate just the living room with the heater and heat just that. We would have quilts up, blocking all of the exits and other doors and other rooms and whatnot. So we would stay warm until it's time for bed, then run upstairs, hop in bed, slept incredibly good. The best sleep that you can get is in a cold room with some warm blankets. Or another warm body, but anyways. So picture this in your mind, everyone. It's getting late, Susie and I go to bed. I roll over to give her a hug, and as I do so, I'm like looking out the window. And I'm staring at the blinds, the curtains, and outside of the house, everything is glowing orange. So I'm staring at that for a minute, trying to figure out, like, what exactly am I looking at? So I get up, I go look out the window. My house is here, there's a hill, and my neighbor's house was beyond that. Couldn't see their house because of the hill, but on the other side of that hill, I could tell there was a massive fire. I grabbed my clothes, grabbed my shoes, put them on, ran out the door, ran down the road, and by the time I got there, the house was completely destroyed. I've never seen anything like it. I hope to never see anything like it. Nothing is scarier, in my opinion, than a fire. Unfortunately, in that fire, my neighbor lost his daughter, and he never forgave himself. A few months after that happened, he ended up taking his own life. All right, inside of the teepee tent now. Whew, folks, this is rough already. It is stifling in this tent. Even with the front door open, facing the breeze, there's not much airflow in here. There's not much. With this tent, there are 3 vents. Plus, we have some mesh that goes around the bottom. That mesh around the bottom is worthless unless you're out in a hurricane. The mesh at the door will allow some airflow, but it really needs to be breezy. And right now, it is not breezy enough. The vents at the top, worthless. Whew. I am going to go ahead and say goodnight. There's really not enough room in here to navigate the camera and film all this stuff. I am going to take my clothes off because it is incredibly warm in here and it's about to get really wet. So I'm going to say goodnight for now. I will bring you all back in just a little bit. Wish me luck, and updates coming soon. See you in a bit. Listen to those coyotes, everyone. They are so close that I actually put my clothes on and stepped out just to listen to them. There's at least 2 packs. There's one over here, and there's one over here, and they're communicating fairly close. It's pretty awesome in my book. What's not so awesome is being inside of this tent. It's a little bit after 12 o'clock. My clothes are damp. Everything's so damp. It could be worse, I will say that. If it was raining, if there was a ton of moisture, this would be super, super bad. Luckily, I don't have condensation forming on the inside of the tent. It's super damp in there, but at least it's not raining. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is 5:12. Up before the sunrise. Got a fire going. This feels incredible. Inside of that tent, it's something else. It's almost like 90% humidity in there. It's so wet. I'm soaked. My clothes are soaked. The humidity's so high. More than anything, I just wanted out of that tent. So I got up, got this fire going. I'm actually beginning to dry off now, which is nice. At this hour, we're up here in the clouds. You might not be able to tell, but it is foggy. It is really foggy. Temperature-wise, it's in the upper 50s. I'd say it's around 59 degrees, maybe a little bit lower than that. As for last night, I slept good overall, but I was fairly uncomfortable. It was so hot inside of that tent. At some point in time, I just got tired of it, and I opened up the mesh door and I just let all the air in that I could just to cool that thing down some. It was so hot, it holds in so much heat, and that's because there's almost no ventilation with this tent. It's that front door, that's it, and the thing is, it has to be really breezy for any sort of air to get through it. My next beef with this tent is the small size. The company says this is a 2-person tent. Not true. Not at all. It's not going to happen. 2 kids maybe, but that's about it. Not 2 adults. No way. I'm thankful this wasn't a rain event, because if it was, I think water would have been pouring off of the walls. Yeah, I was lucky. But with that being said, I do have to do some rain testing with this tent, and that includes condensation control. So I'm not looking forward to it. It'll be interesting, which that part I am looking forward to. But does that make any sense? It's early, man. You try having a discussion about gear at 5 o'clock in the morning. Try having a talk with a camera at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not super easy. As far as good gear goes, there was 2 shining stars from this trip. Well, 3 actually. The backpack, awesome. It is a hauler. It's hard wearing. It's not like a civilian grade backpack. It's not as comfortable as that. Hard wearing kind of goes hand in hand with like military surplus. It's like you put it on, it becomes a part of you, but yet it's not the most comfortable thing ever. It's more about being able to carry that heavy load out more than anything else. The pack, it performs exactly as it should. It's more of a military product than a civilian one, so it makes sense. The one Tigris quilt, which is very inexpensive, top notch. That kept me very warm, synthetic fill, small form factor, compressible. I definitely give it a thumbs up. The other piece of excellent gear is my Soto stove. It's a champ, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite stoves. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Good morning. Perfect. As a instant coffee connoisseur, I can tell you this is delicious. The Taster's Nasty Hazelnut. It's really good. I really like it. I give Taster's Choice a bad rap. It's really not that bad. I like it, okay? I know some of you don't. I've heard from you. Luke, how can you drink that? It's like drinking beer. The first beer you have, it's not the best, right? You're like, God, that is awful. But then after that point, you like it. Is that how that goes? Whatever. On a serious note, everyone, just about every single day I hear from viewers who tell me that getting out into the outdoors has changed their lives. Those who've been struggling with depression and so on, soldiers who have PTSD and whatnot, this makes a difference. I bring this up because I received an email from a lovely lady last night from the UK who is sharing her story, and I want to encourage anyone who's having any sort of issues to take some time to get out, to get away from everything, turn everything off. Turn off social media. Social media is no good for you. It's no good for anyone. Get out. Listen to the forest. Listen up here, in here. It's going to do you a ton of good. I'm honored to be able to have these interactions with you all and to show you all what it can be like. The thing is, everyone, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to go out. Grab a simple tent, grab some blankets from home. You can camp in the backyard, go to the local forest, sleep in your car, do whatever you want to. Just do it. Live your life. You're in the driver's seat, you know what I mean? So if there's something that you want to do it. No more waiting, no more games, no more excuses. Just do it. And that's about as heavy of a topic that I could do at 5:43 in the morning. And folks, this fire is absolutely roasting me out. It's so hot. I gotta stand up for a second. When it comes to the world that we all live in, there's so many vampires out there. And I'm not talking literal, I'm talking figurative. There's so many things that are trying to take your attention, trying to take your energy, your money. That's why it's so important to get out into the outdoors like this. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get up with the birds, listen to them sing, listen to the rain on your tent. This does something to you. Being out in the forest like this, it does something to you. It changes you. And I just love it, everyone. I do. Speaking of the forest, it's waking up. All the birds are out now. Come 5:30, it's on. They're awake. They will wake you up too. There's enough light now to see the fog. It's pretty thick, unfortunately. I don't think we are going to be able to watch the sunrise. Tell you what, that really does go to show you just how much moisture and heat a tent can hold in. If we had other tents and we could do multiple tests like all at one time, you could really see the difference in performance from tent to tent. All tents will hold in some heat, but every tent will do it differently. It's all based upon the design and the materials used. With this tent here, there's very little mesh, so it just holds in the heat, holds in the moisture. I mean, it really made for a miserable night. Not the most miserable night I've ever had in a tent, but pretty bad. The most miserable experience that I've had inside of a tent was a few years back. I was testing out this military thing. I've never had a tent perform as bad as that. It held in all of the heat, zero airflow. It held in all the moisture. It was unbelievable. Like the worst experience I've ever had. It was something else. This wasn't that bad, but this was not good. Now that I've shared with you my worst experience, what about yours? What was it? What happened? What made it so bad? It's funny how oftentimes your worst experience is also a fond memory. For some reason, it does work out that way. Golly, guys. Everything in here is so wet, so damp. I wish you all could feel this. I wish you could feel just how much moisture is in it. And that's because this tent just holds it in. What are you doing? This deer is not scared of me at all. Hey, buddy. Thank you for letting me camp here last night. Okay, that was awesome. About 15 feet away. That deer is right there. About 20 feet away now. Doesn't care at all. Look at this mess. I cannot get this tent back into this storage bag. The storage bag is just too small. You would think these companies who make tents would actually test this out. They should freaking know better. It's ridiculous. All right, everyone, I'm ready. The area is clear, no trash, no fire. Everything's picked up. Good to go. Thank you all so much for joining me for this trip. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have had a good time. Even though I was miserable inside of that tent, I had a good time. That deer this morning, that was special. Very, very cool. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up before you go. It does help the channel. Also, you can support the channel, Patreon, YouTube, all that good stuff. I'm going to leave you all here and say goodbye. From this point on, it's nothing but trail finding in the fog. So take care, be well. I'll see you all next week. Strength and honor. Bye for now.